Welcome to Motors and Medicine. On today's episode, I'm going to be reviewing a vehicle that belongs to a colleague of mine. This happens to be a 2022 Shelby Gt500 Track Pack. So I'm going to do a little walk around first, get familiar with it. This particular car has like 16-inch rotors, 6-piston Brembos up front, carbon fiber wheels, super lightweight. It's got a lot of aerodynamics, front canards there. It's got a lot of cooling ducts that are functional for the transmission, supercharger, and of course for the main engine cooling. This particular car happens to have massive two-piece rotors in the back as well, 4-piston Brembos. It's got the, like I said, the optional track pack, which comes with a little bit tighter suspension, carbon fiber rear wing. Pipes on this are, of course, pretty massive. All right. Now we're going to get to the interior. All right, now this car, as you all know, I've got a 2018 Mustang GT that's highly modified, and the interior in these Mustangs is all about the same. This one's, a little bit different. This one actually has the Recaro bolstered seats, which is a little bit more advanced than mine. The main difference is mine has heated and cooling, and this one is just straight up sport seats. There is no heating or cooling with this. This one has an Alcantara steering wheel. And it's got some nice carbon fiber, just like mine does on the dash plaque. It's got the typical, 8-inch infotainment. Same mode switches that I have. Basically the same interior, other than the fact that it's a rear seat delete, because this is the track pack. And of course, these are the bolstered seats rather than the leather heated cooled in mine. All right, next, we're going to pop open the hood and have a look under there. All right. Now, for the first time in Mustang history, Ford actually decided to put get rid of the prop rod and put a hydraulic lift on the hood, which is really nice. I've got dual hydraulic lifts on mine. Of course, they're aftermarket. Well, this particular engine is this is the 5.2 liter Predator closed airbox system. There's the big snake on the supercharger right there. This particular engine makes 760 horsepower, 625 pound-feet of torque at the crank. So pretty decent power, pretty decent speed. Obviously here when we test drive it, we're going to see how it compares to my Mustang, which makes closer to like 900 horsepower. But we'll see how they compare. It'll be interesting. I'm going to go ahead and shut this hood. All right. Now that we've had a look at the car, I'm going to go ahead and get everything set up inside the vehicle. We'll go for a drive. And then when we get back, we'll do a sound clip, see how the exhaust sounds, and then we'll end the video. All right, we'll be back in a sec. All right, we're back. Got the car fired up, got the camera set up, so now we're gonna head out and see how we do with this, all right? On our way. We're coming up on our usual route for doing these test drives and these reviews. Gonna see how this thing performs. This particular car, it was kind of a long time coming, you know. Shelby had been involved with a lot of these GT500s for a lengthy period of time. But then after he passed, Ford kind of took over the torch there and started making these kind of exclusively. So now let's see how this thing performs. Gonna get it up to about, oh, I don't know, 40 miles an hour, and then we'll hit it. Okay. Pretty good. Pretty impressive pull. Very progressive. It's not crazy out of control by any means. Pull's really good. Definitely doesn't have quite the top end that mine has, obviously, because mine makes more power, but it has pretty dang good pull down low because of the torque, which is impressive. Like I was saying, you know, once Ford got involved with these Shelbys, they started exclusively producing them, and you now have Shelbys being made by Ford, but then you also have Shelby American, which is a separate company. That's the company that Carroll Shelby founded, and after he passed, Shelby American started kind of doing their own twist on making these Mustangs faster. So basically what Shelby American does is they take GTs and turn them into Super Snakes now, and then they take the GT500 and they turn it into a very fast potential 1,000 horsepower animal. And it's kind of a cool setup the way it works now. But at the end of the day, they are two separate entities. And the only drawback is that if you buy a Shelby from Ford, it's not going to be in the Shelby registry, unfortunately, because the registry is specifically denoted for vehicles that were made at Shelby American and not just by Ford itself, which is fine. Now, this particular car, it was the very first time that the Mustang ever came with, or the GT500 for that matter, came with a dual clutch transmission. This car has a 7-speed DCT or dual clutch transmission. Really fast shifting, holds gears really nice. Driving impression of this car, it's very similar to my Mustang, the way I have mine modified now, but this car is definitely very taut. It's got an auto rev match into the automatic, just like mine does on the sport mode. This car does have MagneRide, which mine does not. I opted out of the MagneRide on mine because I knew I was going to be modifying mine. And if you modify these suspensions that have MagneRide, you're kind of limited on the type of modifications you can do to the springs, and you may not be able to get it as low as you want. Mine, of course, sits lower because I really wanted to go low on mine to have that lower center of gravity. But this MagneRide is incredible. It's tight, it's very responsive, makes a lot of infinite adjustments on the fly, and this car takes bumps pretty well. As you guys know in previous videos, this road's pretty bumpy, but this car is actually handling the bumps really well. I'm surprised, even in sport mode, which is going to, of course, affect how the dampers are working because it's magnetic ride. Now, one thing to note with these vehicles, with these GT500s especially, is that they are exquisitely responsive to modifications. These particular cars, if you modify them, can be done pretty easily, and you can make, with just a simple cold air intake, a pulley, and a tune, you're going to make 850 horsepower without even blinking. 900 horsepower potentially. Once you get into doing a fuel system and larger injectors, this thing can make well over 1,000, which is pretty impressive. So now we're pulling back in, and we're going to take our time, because with all these vehicles that are relatively low, you got to be careful going over these entrances and exits. You got to just be careful not to hit anything. And all right, so now I'm going to pull this car up, and I'm actually going to back it up right next to my car, and I'm going to show you guys a comparison so you guys can kind of see how the looks compare, how the engine compartments compare, just because I've got my car here, and so why not, you know? So I'm going to do that first. Then we're going to then I'm going to do a sound clip of this car, and then we'll end the video there. So give me one sec while I get set up. All right, now we're back. Got it all set up. Now we're kind of have a front look at both of the cars, just to see how they compare. You can kind of see how I've got my own aerodynamic improvements on this vehicle, as well as side splitters here. I also have pretty enlarged brakes. Mine comes with 15 and a quarter brakes with the 6-piston Brembos. Like I said, here's the comparison for the front. Very similar. Now I'm going to go ahead and pop my hood real quick just to show you that comparison on the engine. All right, and here we are. You can see the dual struts that I've installed on mine. Here's mine. Again, closed airbox setup. A lot more carbon fiber under my hood. There's the big Whipple supercharger that's part of the kit that's installed on mine, along with the 132 millimeter throttle body. So we'll shut this. Now I'm going to go ahead and get set up for a exhaust clip on this GT500. Then we'll end the video. All right. Here we are set up back here at the back of the car. Now I'm going to go ahead and fire this car up, give it a couple of revs, and see how it sounds compared to some of the other cars that I've been reviewing. All right, we'll go and get on that right now. All right, guys, so that's a pretty incredible sounding GT500. I really liked the way this car drove. It was actually quite impressive, but again, very similar to mine. Power-wise, mine's obviously a little bit more powerful, but very similar driving experience. This one feels just a little bit tighter on the suspension because of that Magna ride, but outside of that, very similar experience. I do like the Recaro seats on this vehicle, though, and the pipes, of course, are always nice. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this, and if you guys like this content, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't, and then we're going to just keep going with these reviews and see how things work out for us. So till next time, this is Motors and Medicine signing off.